and a big tornado came through and wiped us out. So we were lucky to be alive. The house was totally destroyed.
Hang on, a tornado?
Tornado, yes.
In Shepparton?
In Shepparton. My brother he was only 7 months old, and normally he'd go to bed early. And if he would have gone to bed that night, if Mum would have put him to bed that night, he wouldn't be here today. A 4x2 timber went straight through his cot.
We've got some fresh new young talent doing some things that I know you haven't heard before.
1, 2, 3, listen.
Welcome to Finances, your home for all things financial, investment, money and lifestyle. Hosted and curated by the very talented team of certified financial planners at Burke Britton Financial Partners.
So this is the Finances podcast, and this is a unique episode because this is the first episode that I've done. I don't think it's the first episode I've done out of the office, but it's the first episode that I've done in a client's home. And we're lucky enough today to have Lee Ganino. Lee, thanks for, well, first of all, thanks for having us for lunch.
You're welcome.
I don't know that I've done a podcast after half a bottle of Grenache, a couple of glasses of limoncello, some... what else did we have for lunch?
Oh, we had some salami, prosciutto, and preserved pancetta, and olives, and pickled cucumbers, and cheese, and you name it, and fresh bread.
What didn't we have that was in the cupboard? Because Eileen said that she had a bunch of other stuff she could have brought.
Yeah, she could have a few pickled zucchinis and capsicums and beans, and probably we'll have to wait for next time, I think.
Yeah. Well, I think this is probably the second or third time you've hosted us for lunch, and I think you've made a bit of a habit now. I think it might be something that we have to do every time we catch up. I forgot to hit record, so we started talking about this, and I think we've been here for probably a couple of hours, and you've done a podcast for us almost already, telling us stories about your time at SPC, your family, your father, but people weren't privy to that. So let's start from the start, Lee. Tell us a little bit about where you grew up and how you came to be in Shepparton, and ultimately how you ended up at SPC.
Well, I came from Italy with my mother when my dad came here in 1950, and I got here in Australia when I was 18 months old with my mum, and we were in Shep East on a farm, and Dad was working in an orchard. But after about 4 or 5 years there, Mum wanted to buy her own place, and we bought a place in Florence Street. We bought our own farm, and we were only there probably 18 months, I think, and a big tornado came through and wiped us out. So we were lucky to be alive. The house was totally destroyed.
Hang on, a tornado?
Tornado, yes.
In Shepparton?
In Shepparton.
See, I reckon you've told me this story before, but for those that haven't
and I've
heard
made the front page of the Shepparton News.
Yep.
Which I've still got a copy here.
Yep.
And we were in the kitchen. It was 7 o'clock at night, 7th of November, 1957. And this storm came through and just destroyed the house. And we were sitting in the kitchen, didn't know what the hell was going on. And next minute, the main door of the passageway was a 10-room home. It was a big home.
A 10-room home?
A 10-room home.
Okay.
It was a big home. And all we could see was dust, and lucky for us that we didn't have electricity in that property at the time. And we had a phone, one of those, the landline phone, in the passageway, and the lightning was attracted to the phone, that you could see the lightning flashing on the top of the phone. And Mum was screaming and yelling that we lost our home. And anyway, we didn't know what to do. And actually, I can still visualize it right now. That was like daylight. We had no light, no power, and it was like daylight that we could see everything in the home.
How old were you, Lee?
7.
Okay.
I was 7 then. So Dad went out to get the car out of the shed, of the garage, and it was all crushed down. It was a big armour tree collapsed on top of it. So we headed off.
You're a popular man, Lee.
We headed off across my uncle's property to my uncle's places, because they had their orchard right across the road from us. So we walked across the the orchard in the middle of the night, thunder and lightning that was like broad daylight. We got there and they had no power because the power door got off. So we got there and we knocked on the door and they come out with candles and said, "What are you doing here?" And Mum said, "We lost our home." Anyway, we went in and then, but when the rain stopped, it was pouring rain, my uncles and Dad went back to the house to see if they could salvage something. And I still get emotion when I talk about it now because it was a really emotional thing, really. You've been destroyed around you. You can see everything. I can appreciate what I see in the news when I see people lose their homes and that because it is a very emotional feeling. Anyway, they went back and it was too dark and everything. They couldn't do nothing. So the next morning they went back there daybreak and trying to salvage some furniture, but the furniture was all destroyed, some clothing and whatever they could. And then somebody reported to the Shepparton newspaper, and they were out there and they took a photo of the whole place. And there was not much that we could salvage from it. But then we stayed with our uncles and aunties for about 3 months. There was already 2 families in one house, and we were the 3rd family till we found another home. And then they shifted the home that we lived in from town, and then we had to do it up and all the rest of the stuff. And we had no insurance. And when Dad called the insurance to see what we were insured for, the insurance bloke came along there and he said, "You're only insured for lightning." And Dad said, "What do you mean I'm only insured for lightning?" He said, "Yep, that's all you're insured for." I said, "Well, how do you know it's lightning?" He said, "Oh, you've got to show me some shattered wood." He said, "I'll show you plenty of that." So Dad went, got a few pieces of timber and said, "Is that what you're looking for?" "Oh, yeah." So he stood on the top of the ceiling of the kitchen, the insurance bloke, to verify that. And he nearly went through the ceiling. And Dad said, "You want to die too, do you?" Anyway, he come down, and those days we only got peanuts for it. So we had no insurance, a mortgage. Then my dad, he became very depressed because he had a young family. And
How many kids or how many siblings
well,
do you
it
have,
was
Lee?
my brother and I, and my sister's on the way. And we had a mortgage, a young family, nowhere to live. So he became very emotional and very, well, depressed, I suppose, that he started getting ulcers and all that, and he couldn't work for years. Then that night, my brother normally, he was only 7 months old, and normally he'd go to bed early. And if he would have gone to bed that night, if Mum would have put him to bed that night, he wouldn't be here today. A 4x2 timber went straight through his cot. He would have straight through him. And it was just lucky that that night we had a late tea and saved his life, actually. But then from moving on, he sort of, we did it very hard for many years. I got to the stage, I was about 14. I missed a lot of school,
Where did you go to school, Lee?
St. Brendan's. And then from that, I went to St. Coleman's College. But I missed a lot of school. And when I was 14, Dad was very ill, as I said earlier. And then helping Mum, because they planted some orchard, but we were growing a lot of vegetables as well. To help Mum, I stayed home for about 3 months because Dad couldn't work. And in those days, there was no dole or no support or nothing like today. And after 3 months, Mum said, "Why don't you go back to school?" But by then, I lost all enthusiasm, and I wasn't very good because I missed that much school anyway. I said, "No, I'm not going to go back to school." But I was very mechanical minded, I always have been. And Mum wanted me to become a mechanic. And I went to do a bit of apprenticeship, and all they got me to do is clean the oil and clean the rubbish. And I thought, stuff this is not for me. So that was the end of the mechanic. So I went back and I went and got a permanent job in an orchard where Dad and I used to prune, contract pruning. They were looking for somebody permanent. So I went there and got a job. And I was 14, just going on to 15. I was doing a grown-up man's job. And I was only getting £7 a week in those days, which wasn't a great job, but I was as money. And I still remember the first day first pay I got and I took it home to my mother. And I said, here, Mum, go and buy some food. If I would have won Test Lotto, I don't think I was happy and proud of that very moment. That was a very emotional moment because we had money coming in. And then from that point on, I stayed there for about 6 years. When I started, there was 4 of us. By the time I finished, there was only 2 of us managing 60 acres of orchard. I was sort of the manager of the orchard, and I was only 21 at that time, I think. But it was hard work, but I enjoyed it. I've never been afraid of work. And then we had a falling out with the boss, and he was a good bloke, but he was a bit tight. And I asked for a pay rise, and he said he couldn't afford it. And then something happened, and we had a falling out. I won't go into the details. And then I left the orchard, and I went to SVC. The season was nearly finished. And I said, I'm looking for a job. It was a Saturday morning. They said, I'll come back Monday. So I went back Monday, and I got a job, and I worked there for about 6 weeks.
What year was this, Lee? You were 25, did you say?
No, about 21.
Okay. What year was that, give or take?
57, we lost our home. I was 14. What's that? 1980? 1980? Sorry, don't know. Geez.
1960.
1970.
Okay.
70.
Okay.
70.
1970.
1970. That's right. Sorry. 1970. Anyway, when the season finished, I asked for a permanent job, and they said, no, we haven't got anything going. Then they called me back, and they said, we've got a permanent job for you, but it was in the can shop where they made the cans. It was so noisy. I said, I can't put up with this. So I said, no, look, I've got too much work on at the moment because I was pruning with Dad, with contract pruning. So we kept going with that. So we finished the pruning, and then I went, I had nothing to do, and it was the first time in my life after I left school that I didn't have a job for 2 weeks. And I felt like I lost. Yeah. So I went knocking on doors looking for jobs. Anything. I didn't have an education, so I couldn't go to a place where it was education. I went to a place where I knew that I could do it. Anywhere that manual work. Oh, have you got experience? I said, no, but I'm a fast learner. Oh, you look, we'll call you next week, and so on and so on. So I end up at the brick manufacturing where they made bricks, Shepparton Brickworks. And I walked in there and I said, I'm looking for a job. He said, oh, yeah? Have you done this before? I said, no. I said, I'm a quick learner. He said, all right. He said, his name was Malcolm, the boss. He said, start Monday. I said, okay. So I turned up Monday. So there was a bit of a thing, like in every apprenticeship, I suppose, that they tested you out. So the truck driver and I were on the truck stacking the bricks, and the boss and the foreman were in the kiln pushing all the bricks out, and they were putting in lumps and everything, just try me out. And I was trying to keep up with them. And then Kevin, he was the driver, he said, Lee, he said, they're trying you out. Just let it go. I said, they're falling on the truck. He said, don't worry about it. Just let it go. He said, they're trying you out. I said, all right. Anyway, we carried all these bricks to a place, a new motel they were building, which is was the Big Valley Motel. It's just down the road here. And I can't remember any thousands of bricks we carried. Anyway, when I finished that day, I could not straighten up. My back was broken. Anyway, I was walking, and they all took bets that I would not be there the next day. So I was walking like an L-shaped, I'll say 90-year-old man. I said, when next morning I turned up, they're all at the gate waiting for me. And they're all looking at each other, and I could see there was something going on, but I didn't know what the hell was going on. And I said, what's wrong? Why are you looking at me strange? We took a bet that you wouldn't be here. I said, well, you don't know me well then. Anyway, the truck driver that I was with, he turned up, and he had a big smile on his face. And I said, you know what I said, I said, they took a bet on me that I wouldn't be here. He said, yeah. I said, and guess who cashed in? He said, I did. He said, I knew you were going to be here. And from that point on, we were best of mates. I worked there for 3 months. I lost 3 stones in weight.
Cool.
Yeah, it was hard work.
Did you have 3 stones to lose or not?
Yeah. Well, yes and no. Especially feeding the kill. It was 180 C feeding. We used to put a 6-foot log of gum tree, and you only had one shot to put it in. If it didn't go in straight and you pulled it out, it would be a light. That's the intensity of the heat.
I now know where you got your enjoyment of saunas from. You've had it since you were 21.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And then we had to go. I used to take on for extra money. I used to go at night and feed them because they had to be fed all overnight, 24 hours. There was 8 holes in each kill, and we had to fill them up with 6-foot logs. And so anyway, I stayed there for 3 months. Then I couldn't see a future there, and I said to Lonkel, I said, look, when it came Christmas, I said, I'm going to leave. He said, why? I said, look, I thank you for the job, and I enjoyed the job. I said, it was a great crew, but I said, I can't see any future here. So I left there and I went to SPC, and I put my name down.
Can I just pause there for a sec, Lee? For those people that aren't from Shepparton, SPC is like a world Australian...
Second biggest processing company in the world.
So that's news I was trying to explain to Daniel on the way up what SPC was, and that it was a...
Shepparton Preserving Company.
Yeah, so how long has SPC, or the Shepparton Preserving Company, been around?
It's been over 110 years old now. It was the second biggest in the world, and California had the biggest. We became first for a while, but then they extended it again. It was 56 acres on the roof, manufactured thousands and thousands of tons of product. I went there and I started on the 5th of January, 1971. And I never left there until I retired in 2016.
So you said earlier today when we were having lunch, I think, was it 46 years? Is that how long you were at?
Just on 46 years, yes. Yep. I was the youngest team leader they ever made. Then from team leader I went to foreman and then to supervisor.
What was your first job?
My first job, nearly punching up the team leader of the area. I went there and they didn't have enough dishes for the girls to throw out the rubbish, and we had to wait to tip them into this elevator, and the elevator was broken, and I ran out of dishes. And he was going crook the pictures are going on the floor. I said, well, what do you want me to do? I'll go and get more dishes. I said, where? Tell me where and I'll go and get them. Anyway, that was all right. That was the first day. The second day, they used to issue us with a SPC cap. I forgot my cap at home. So when I turned up, I said, oh, my cap. So I went and asked for another one. So he come around there because he was one of these blokes who like to stand over people. He said, where's your cap? I said, I left it home. I'm sorry. I only give me a serve. I said, oh, okay. Anyway, this went on. And same thing happened the next day. The machine broke down. We had no dishes. The peaches were going on the floor. And then I was just about to let fly. And I said, no. Hang on. Anyway, we went on and things settled down. The first pay I got, I had a mate there working. I got $74.
Okay, so we're out of pounds now. We're in dollars, yeah.
$100. And where I was working previously on the orchard was $42. So I got $74, $75. And I thought, oh, shit, they made a mistake. So I went to my mate. I said, Tony, they made a mistake. He said, well, didn't they pay you enough? I said, no, they give me too much. Thinking the wage was, everywhere the same. He said, no, that's right. I said, where the hell have I been? And then from there on, I stayed on and never left. Then I just graduated through the years. The SPC was really good to me. They sent me to a lot of schools, gave me a good education. I went to Hawkesbury University. I went to Melbourne universities. They sent me just about all over Australia, really.
So when they're sending you off for training and education at the universities, what were they training you in? What were you learning?
Well, from being foreman on the plant to frontline management to industrial relations, communications, friction consultant to fix frictions within the workplace, you name it, and I've done it. I've got a book there with certificates I reckon the Philadelphia lawyer hasn't got. That one day we were having another course and everybody had to take all their certificates. And when I dropped mine on the desk, on the table, the lecturer turned around and he looked at it and he said, well, you should be sitting on this side and I should be sitting on that side. He said, you've got more certificates than I have. I said, well, that's how it is. And but it was all educational. It was all to do with everyday life. And that's what I enjoyed about it, because you learnt and then you just increased the intensity of learning more and bettering what you knew. I always had a philosophy that I wouldn't ask anyone to do what I wouldn't do. If I would do it, I expected them to do it. And I always had the other philosophy was, I always said g'day to everybody, even if I hated their guts, but didn't cost to say g'day, because they were a human being like I was. And I would have liked someone to say g'day to me. And that's why up to today I still have respect from those people, because I didn't treat them any different, regardless if I liked them or not. I treated them equally and as a human being. And I believe that people, if you respect a person, if you want to be respected, respect is not bought, is earned by any stretch of the imagination. Anybody tells me you can buy respect, they're lying, because respect is earned, not bought.
Yeah, well, it's interesting, Daniel. I'm just looking at Daniel. We had a conversation on the way up in the car today, talking about respect and influence. And if you want respect and you want influence, you've actually got to give it. So you've actually got to give respect. You've got to show respect to people. If you want to influence people, you've got to let them influence you. And I know you and I have had lots of conversations around leadership and how it applies in the workplace. And it sounds as though SPC was a great breeding ground for you to sort of not only build yourself personally, but also professionally.
Yes, and learnt to respect people and to treat people like. If I had something to say at high level measures with CEO sitting next to me, I would always speak my mind, because I always found if you did your homework, get your facts right. That's the most critical thing. If you're going to open your mouth, get your facts right. They mightn't agree with it, but if you got your facts right, then they can't argue against you either. Because if you go there and blow your trumpet and you don't know what you're talking about, you'll be shot down into pieces. But many, many a times, I've been to high-level meetings and spoke my mind. They mightn't agree with me, but they never said to me, you don't understand what you're talking about. Shut up. No, that's never happened. So I agreed to disagree with them, because I could understand the situation, sometimes financially involved, that they couldn't do what I wanted them to do. But at the same time, you've got to do your homework before you open your trade.
Now, SPC has been a pillar of the Shepparton community for 110 years, and it's had some trials and tribulations over that time. You being there for 46 years have kind of been at the forefront. Like you said, you're kind of sitting at the table with some of the management and leadership and CEOs. What are been some of the really significant milestones, good or bad, in SPC's history that you've been involved in?
Well, SPC went broke several times. In the 80s and 90s, we were ready to shut the doors. And in that period of time, they changed management, and a bloke by the name of Jeff Tracy came on board. He was a car salesman, local person, a very nice gentleman, a very smart gentleman. And I still remember him standing up in front of the people, and he said, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jeff Tracy. I know nothing about fruit, apart from eating it. He said, but I know about business, because he was running a successful car business. Anyway, when he took over, he made it a job, him and one of the directors, every morning at 6 o'clock in the morning, for a businessman to get up at 5 o'clock to be there at 6 o'clock, going around, and he knew everybody's name. He introduced happy hour. And the reason the happy hour was, it wasn't just for people to drink. He'd go around and talk to everybody individually. And the information he got off the people off the floor was unvaluable. You couldn't replace it with money, because he got the true value of the communication that he wanted from the people. And then he'd say, oh, yeah, okay, put it in the memory box. But going back to before that, when we were at the point of shutting the doors, the unions from Melbourne came up and they wanted us to stand up, and fight the company. And I remember the union delegates from our company. This Jeff Tracy, that's how smart of a man he was. He got the shop stewards from the company and he took them down to the pub and shouted them a lunch and opened the books to them. He said, "This is the truth. This is where we are. We're in the shit. Yeah, it's up to you. Do you want to keep the doors open or do you want to shut the doors?" And the boys said, "No, we want to keep the doors open." Okay, this is what I'll go back to the bank and tell them that, see if we can get some money. So the bank said, "Okay, when you go back, you tell them this is what we need. No overtime to be paid, no penalty rates to be paid." There was a lot of penalty issues there, but the company said they won't be paid now because we haven't got the money, but they'll be banked, and when we get back on our feet, they'll be all paid back to you. Do you agree or disagree? Everybody said, "We agree." The unions stood up and they were going ballistic. "What are you doing? What are you doing? You're bad, Anyway, when this happened, if you would have paid $4 million in those days to get, what's the word I should use? Reporting, free report, you wouldn't have got it. We had Channel 9, Channel 7, ABC, SBS, you name it, every helicopter under the sun from all recording, all news outlets there to see what the hell was going on. And then when they start finding out, they're asking questions, what they're doing, why, oh, the unions are going against the members are going against the unions to support the company, to keep the company afloat and all the rest. Anyway, we had all our warehouses full of fruit. We couldn't sell. And then the slogan came out, "Buy a can and help SPC," and all this sort of thing came out word of mouth, like not advertising. And everybody started buying SPC. Within, I think it was about 2 years, all this fruit we had, and take into consideration the inflation that if we produced it at 20 cents, then it was worth 40 cents, we came out of debt. And everybody got rewarded with all the penalties that they didn't get paid. They all got repaid in full. So it became a real family affair while Jeff Tracy was still there. But then, like everywhere else, everybody knows what to do when things are not bad. So all of a sudden they said, "Oh, no, we don't need you now. We're right. We know what we're doing." And they moved him on, and then we went broke again. Then we amalgamated with Coca-Cola. Then we amalgamated with SBC, with Amona, sorry. So in my view, from that point on, things started going downhill. But as I said when I retired, that I thanked all the past and present management, and I thanked SBC Code for giving me an education, giving me a safe income, and giving me a good income that I supported my family and put my kids through university, and for the opportunity to have an input in all new projects that I'm very proud of, that I helped design and implemented into the company. I said, I can't thank them enough. I said, I've had a couple of bad managements, but I said, apart from that, I've had the opportunity that people listened to what I had to say. So I said, with that, I said, I want to thank SBC.
It's a pretty cool story, Lee. It's and it resonates a lot with me and what we strive to do in business. I listen, and again, I don't know whether Daniel's off camera here, but Daniel and I had a conversation on the way up about something that we think about how you how to operate in business, and you said it almost exactly that your boss, what was his? Was it Jeff?
Jeff Tracy, CEO.
Yep. By the sounds of what Jeff did primarily was he made sure that he had relationships. So he started with make sure that I've got relationships. The second thing he did was he made sure that it was clear that people knew where we're headed. He's like gave you a picture. And then, as you said, what SBC allowed you to do was give you ownership of your role and be able to influence what you were doing. And I think that, I don't know whether it's a secret, Lee, but it's certainly, I think it's a pretty strong signal that that kind of leadership combined with what someone like you's able to bring to a business. Like you look at the golden years of SPC, and I mean, everyone that was involved in those periods of time, like you said family, like it was
a family business.
It was a family business. It was the cornerstone of the community, and it was part of everyone's lives. And we were fortunate enough as a business when we came into Shepparton in 2007, 2008 to be at I won't say the tail end, but we had the pleasure of being involved with a lot of people like you that had been at SPC for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and see see you being the bearer of that goodwill and also the education. So it's really good to be an observer of that.
To give you an understanding of talking about family, in the early days, in the early 70s, we used to employ 1,200 people per shift. And we didn't have enough people in the Golden Valley for that. We had people from Queensland coming.
So how many shifts a day?
3 shifts.
Yep.
They used to come from Queensland. We had 2 buses, special buses, picking up people from Benalla and Wangaratta every morning and dropping them off every night. And then even the drivers used to work at SPC. This one went on for many years. The people were shoulder to shoulder on the lines. Then it started scaling back. Then we stopped the Queenslanders. Then we stopped the Benalla and Wangaratta people because modern technology came into play, and it sort of cut back and cut back and come back. To even the day that I left, I was responsible for about 400 people, male and females. When I was managing all the hire and fire, I used to do all the hire and firing for 400 people, male and female. Then the place just got too big. So we had to divide it into sections. We had the plastics, and we had the peaches, and we had the pears, because it just got too big. But the amount of people, there was at least an average of about 400 people per shift working at SPC. And that's male and female. And, when you control those people, you get all different attitudes and types and nationalities, and you've got to deal with those people. You've got to understand them, how they think, how they work. You've got to communicate with this the best you can, and show them leadership at the same time. My people used to say to me, I used to say to them, they used to come in with an idea, and I say, that's a great idea, but it won't work because, and I put a bit into it. Oh, that's why you're the boss. No. 2 brains are better than 1. You come up with the idea, half of your idea and half of my idea made a great idea. And they'd walk away happy because their idea was implemented in some way. Instead of dismissing them and saying, walk off, you dumb shit, But no, I never done that because I used to always say 2 brains are better than 1. And they weren't afraid to come up with an idea. It was a silly idea. They come up, what do you think of this, Lee? If we did this and that, yeah, it's great. But because they didn't understand the whole system, and they couldn't go to that level. But when I explained the system and then implemented the other part of the idea, then it became a good idea.
One of the best ways to have people buy into an idea is let them come up with the idea. And it might not be perfect, and it might need some tweaking and some adjustment, but how do you get someone to be responsible and care about the project that they're working on? Let them come up with the solution and then help them refine it.
Everybody's got a brain. Mightn't be as intelligent. You might be a very educated person, have a very intelligent brain. I might be a dumb person, but I've got a mechanical brain. Where a lot of companies go wrong, when they say to their people, leave your brains at the door. Well, you've got no hope then. You're finished. Because the attitude then just drops away. One thing used to get on my goat, and I mean my goat, is 3 things. Tell somebody who cares. You can't help bad luck, and shit happens. When I used to hear people talk like that, I could honestly fist them one. I could not tolerate that attitude. And because I always worked on attitude in employing people, I used to have 2 policies, a sprinter and a stayer. You give me a stayer any day and not a sprinter. A sprinter is all show and no performance because he's trying to impress. But a stayer, he's not sure. He's going to listen to what you got to say. He wants to learn. He wants to impress you. So he's going all the time without you supervising him. Where a stayer is only a chaperone. I know that. Yeah, I know that. Then you say, what did they say? Oh, because he doesn't know, because he's trying to impress you that he knows everything. So I'll take a stayer over a sprinter any day of the week. To me, that attitude was the most critical thing in employing people. Because if you had the right attitude, you could teach them, you could show them. If you got the wrong attitude, waste your time.
Lee, you spent 46 years at SPC, and I know we were talking about how quickly time goes earlier. Tell me a little bit about the preparation for retirement. Do you think were you ready for retirement? Were you worried about retirement?
I had this philosophy from a long time ago, and I used to say to my wife, Elaine, I paid a lot of tax when I was working, because I was working long hours, good wages. And I used to always say, I don't mind paying tax, because if I'm paying tax, it means I'm making money. And I said, one day, I don't want to depend on the pension. I want to be set up that I can look after myself. That was my attitude. I'll be honest, the last 18 months of my time at SPC, I didn't enjoy it, because new management, they didn't want to listen. They didn't want to listen to the truth, what really was going on. And I had the opportunity a couple of weeks before I left to have a good chat with the CEO, and I admire him for coming out and then reflecting what I said and saying I was right. But I didn't enjoy it anymore. I used to wake up on a Monday morning, if I get up this morning, I only got 4 days to go. And I say to Elaine, she used to say, why don't you leave? And I got to a point, I said, no, I don't want to live this way, because I didn't enjoy working anymore. And I knew that I wasn't a wealthy man, but I could sort of look after myself. And when I said to Elaine one day, I said, I've had enough. She said, I said, I'm going to leave. She said, can we live the way we're living now? I said, I think we can. And I think that's when I went and saw my financial advisor. Then I think you came into the picture then. And from there on, I just gave notice. Then they turned around when they found out. First, they didn't believe me. Oh, sorry, go back one step. I asked for a redundancy, and they didn't give it to me, because they said to me, I've forgotten more than people know. I said, but I've done my stint here. It was about 42 years then, 43. And I said, I've done my stint here. I said, let someone else take over. I said, I'll train someone else for you. No, we can't let you go. I said, okay. So then I said, I'm going to leave. I said, you better give me someone to train for you if you want someone trained, because I'm going to leave. And they didn't believe me. They didn't think I was never going to leave. So the day I dropped my resignation on the desk, my boss said, he looked at me, he said, I know what that is. He said, I'm not going to open it. I said, I don't give a shit if you open it or not. I said, because it still counts. And then they came out and offered me 4 days a week. I said, nah. Then they came back and offered me 3 days a week. I said, I thought about it. I came home last night, and she said, but if you're working 3 days a week, you're still working. You say you haven't left. I said, nah, that's it. And that was the end of it. I pulled the pin, and that was the end of it. And I went back.
Now, from knowing you over the course of that time, I don't think you've been short of things to do in that period of time. So, what have you filled retirement with? Tell us what consumes your time now.
Apart from going to see the kids and go away from here and there, we're not the family that, like my wife and I, are not the type of people that go away for 6 months or 3 months and 2 months, and we just like to go off somewhere, enjoy it. I like the country area, the scenery more than anything else. I don't like the big smoke. Just enjoy nature. Then I bought some property, because I come off the land. Once you're in the land, you're always on the land. And I've developed that into what I wanted. And I've got 56 varieties of products in there, from A to Z. From you name it, I've got it.
I've seen it. It's impressive. You've given us a guided tour, myself and a few of the staff, last time we're up, and it's pretty damn impressive space.
And I've got a few cattle, I've got a few sheep. I enjoy going out there. It sort of keeps your mind thinking. Sometimes it gets frustrating, depends on what goes wrong, but other than that, I've got machinery. I enjoy machinery, and I've got this philosophy: I can't buy it, I'll build it. Because, like I said, I'm mechanical minded, and if I can't buy it, I'll build it. So I enjoy going out there to this very day, and that keeps me going. And my grandkids love it out there. My son-in-law loves it there. My kids love it out there. We've got a thing going with my little grandkids now. We started when they were little. I planted 360 gum trees all around the property, and I put a table and chairs under the gum trees there. And the standard thing is now when we go out there, we've got to have a cup of tea before we come home. And sometimes I'm trying to trick my grandkids. Oh, we've done this. Let's go. Oh, no. We're going to have a cup of tea first, because it's a standard thing with my grandkids now. They've got to have a cup of tea at the farm and have biscuits and all this sort of thing. I said they enjoy coming out there, picking the fruits, berries, whatever is going. To them, actually, if I can, my oldest granddaughter, we were going to the farm one morning with her father, and we're looking at properties nearby the farm, and my son-in-law said, be good if we could get a property like this near Melbourne. No one can come down there and buy property there and this and that. Yeah, my granddaughter, the oldest one, said, yeah, that'd be great. And in a flash, she said, oh, no. Then we haven't got the farm to go to. No, don't sell the farm. No, we've got to go to the farm. And that was really amazing, because automatically she realised, oh, hang on a minute, we haven't got this freedom anymore. They come out there and they see the animals. I'll take them for horse rides next door neighbour, and drive the tractors, drive the for quad bike. I'm away from home then, it's paradise. Something that normal kids in the city will never have the pleasure of doing that. And that's why I think they appreciate it so much. Just coming out there and just freedom to do whatever they want to do.
Yeah, and I'm guessing, well, I think I know this for sure, that it's not only about them enjoying it. I think it's about you and Eileen enjoying seeing your grandkids.
Exactly.
And having the time and space to be able to do that.
When I go out there, to tell you the truth, you know what my greatest pleasure is, and Eileen can verify this, when I pick the first fruit of something, the first berries, the first figs, the first grapes, to bring it home to my wife, the berry. Oh, she said, the berries are started, or whatever. Just, I don't even eat it. I'll bring it home first. The first cherries. It gives me great enjoyment and pleasure to bring them home to my family, to say this has started, And to me, that's fulfillment. And you can't buy that.
Yeah. Now, we've mentioned Eileen a few times. I think it would be remiss of us not to, or first of all, for me, not to thank Eileen for the number of times that she's fed or put food in my belly when I've come and visited you. But we jump pretty quickly past when Eileen and yourself met. So just give me the quick version of how Eileen and yourself met.
Well, again, come back to SPC. She was, prior to me, she was engaged with someone else. She was going with someone else, because she worked at Campbell Soups prior to that, and she was going with someone else there. Anyway, I don't know what happened to her, because I'm not one of those to stick your nose, but she did feel that he was the right person for her, so they broke up. Anyway, she felt that she was under pressure there from him, because he worked there as well, and so she left at Campbell Soup. She was permanent. She left there and she came to SBC. Now, I've known Eileen prior to that. I knew her family prior to that, but we're never, close until she came to SBC. And she was on the Solburn. The Solburn is the one that fills the cans up with fruit, and she was very good at it. She's probably the best one. And when she came to SBC, she could have been a model with her hair done up, because her hair's been a pride. I'd have to show you a photo of that. She stood out. Anyway, everybody admired her. All the bosses, everybody admired her, just the way she looked, dressed, clean, elegant. She was too good for the job in reality. But anyway, I was the boss then, and I was going around, and because I knew her, and I started chatting her up and this and that, and one thing led to another, and one day, out of the blue, I just said, you'd like to be my girlfriend? We hadn't been out or nothing, because those days, with the Italian, you didn't have the freedom like the Australian population that, you go out and this and that. Anyway, she looked at me, she said, I'll have to let you know. And from there, it just graduated, and we started going steady, and within 6 months, we were married.
Within 6 months?
Within 6 months. We were married. We got married in 1973, 9th of September 1973, yeah.
So whereabouts in Italy were Eileen's family from? Or
The town,
yes,
um,
or I suppose your family's. Was there any? Were you
no, there was no connection there. We came from Calabria. They came from, oh, Jesus, I've gone blank. Not far away from there anyway. Oh, probably, how would I say, from here to Tura, probably 20, 30 kilometres away. It was a small town there. I can't think of the name now. But yeah, so, but my parents, her parents knew each other because her parents, her mum and sisters came to our place when we were young to help us pick vegetables. They came a few times there to help us pick vegetables. So we sort of knew each other, but we weren't like, close. So it just started SPC, really. That's where it all started.
And the rest was history. So
The rest was
6
history.
months married.
Yeah.
When did the kids come along? How long after that?
We were married in 73. Anthony was born in 1980. We wanted kids straight away, right? We wanted to have a bit of fun. Holidays, we went to Tasmania a couple of times, went here, went there, went everywhere, right? We enjoyed life. And then we thought, oh, well, and then we had to wait a little bit for the first child to come along. But, yeah, we were married in 73 and Anthony was born in 80. And then Rena was born in 82. And, yeah, the rest is history, really. Then I went to university and never came back to Melbourne.
Yeah. Now, Lee, I'm mindful of time. We've chewed up probably 2 or 3 hours of your afternoon, but I wanted to close with maybe a question. You and I always talk a little bit about leadership and advice. Is there a bit of advice that someone's given you in your life, whether it be your dad or a family member or a boss or a mentor, that really resonates that you've lived your life by?
I'll tell you something, one boss, which I had highly respect for, Mr. Burns. I was a team leader, and I asked this young bloke that I knew, he was a good worker, I asked him if he wanted a permanent job. And I went up to him, I said, Mr. Burns, I said, this bloke, I said, he's a good worker, and he's looking for a permanent job. Could you give him a permanent job? He said, no. I looked back, I thought, geez, he's abrupt today. I said, why not? Because I've always been a bloke to ask the question. Why not? He said, you asked me if I'll give him a permanent job. I said, yeah. Permanent means forever, and there's nothing forever. And to this very day, I've never, ever forgotten that line. Because I asked for a permanent. Permanent means forever. And he said, there's nothing forever. If he's good as what you say he is, I'll give him a job. But he said, not permanent, because permanent means forever. And he was a real good boss, a gentleman. I invited him to my wedding. Actually, him and the other boss, they're the only two that I invited from work. That's so much respect I had for him. But there was a lot of little things from a lot of big bosses which respected me, and I had a lot of respect for them that I picked up along the way. It's probably hard to pinpoint anything, but always trust was very critical, and respect, and being honest. Honestly will get you into trouble, will get you out of trouble. And that's what I sort of worked on. They trusted me, I trusted them. I was honest with them, and they were honest with me. And I found that was a good partnership to feel comfortable in what you were doing, because I didn't have any fear. There was one boss, my first factory manufacturing manager. His name was Rob Gilchrist. He died young, actually. I was going to leave SPC and go to Armani because I applied for a foreman, and I applied and I got the job. And when he found out, he called me up to his office and he said, what's this I hear you're leaving? I said, yeah, well, I said, I'm only a team leader here. I said, there's no future, blah, blah, blah. He said, no, you're not going any bloody way. Because his father was a big manager over there as well. He said, no, you're not going anywhere. He said, just have patience, he said. I've got something in the pipeline, but I can't tell you. Oh, okay, so I had to call them and say, look, I'm not coming now. I went for the interview, I got the job, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, about 3-4 months later, it was just before my son was born, actually. The other factory manager came down and he said, Lee, he said, Rob wants to see you. I said, oh, okay, what have I done wrong now? Go up there and he said, Lee, he said, I want you to be the foreman of afternoon shift. Oh. And I still remember to this very day, and my reply to that is, do you think I can do it? That was what I replied to that person. I said, you think I can do it? He said, I know you can do it. And that was it. This Rob was a manager. A lot of people didn't like him, but I had great respect. If you knew your stuff, he would back you to death. If you stuffed up, he'd make you feel half an inch. And I admired him. And he always challenged me. I could go on for another hour with him on what the challenges he set me. And I'd always admire him and admired him for the challenges he set, because he knew I loved the challenge. And I always come up with the goods. And he just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And I could go up to him face to face and say, Rob, I want a pay rise. Oh, Lee, I can't give you a pay rise. If I give you one, I don't give a shit. I want a pay rise. You can't do it today. But that's the relationship I had with him. A lot of people didn't like him because he was brutal, but he was only brutal if you didn't do your job. But if you knew what you were doing and he believed in you, he would back you to the hills. And I mean the hills.
Well, I think as someone that's known you for not the entirety of your life, but the last 15 years, I'd say that your life is defined by enjoying challenges. And I think, I suppose in closing, maybe a message for people in their retirement years, if there's anyone that I've admired in how they've dealt with their retirement and filled their retirement with challenges and done it in a fulfilling way, it's yourself and Eileen. So I think it's a great quality. It's something that is, I think it's the exception, not the rule. I think a lot of people, when they hit their retirement years, they lose any sense of challenge and pushing themselves, trying new things, experimentation. But that's certainly not you. So I admire how much emphasis you place upon family, how much you continue to try and experiment and do things, and also thank you for your hospitality and your friendship over the last 15, 16 years.
I can say I'm the type of person, and I think you know this, I never say die. If you say to me, that can't be done, I will challenge you. Because there is no such thing that can't be done. The only thing that can't be done is bring somebody back from the dead. But apart from that, anything can be done. It's just a matter of putting your mind to it and your brains and support, I suppose, and some help sometimes, depends on what it is. But anything can be done. Anything can be fixed. It's just when you die, you can't fix it. That's non-return. But other than that, talk about family, and that's why my kids have got a lot of respect for me and great for my wife and I, for what we've done for them. When they went to university, I borrowed $270,000 to buy the unit because I thought paying rent is dead money. So I said, there's no future in this. So I went and borrowed a whole lot, $270,000 to buy the unit in Richmond. And my kids, Rowena was there for 12 years and Anthony was 15 years, never paid a cent of rent. Always to help the kids, to give them a bit of a head start. Plus all the food, don't talk about the food, but and education, all the rest of the fees and all the rest. You know, I put myself in debt for them to help them along, and that's why they're in a good position today. And they were good kids to start off with. They didn't blow their money, didn't blow their on drugs or grog and all the rest of it. They saved their money, and that's why they're in the position they are today. And with their good jobs and all that, well, hopefully they'll do well. But we sacrificed a lot to help them. And there's no regrets.
I was going to say, and you probably wouldn't have it any other way.
No, exactly. And I'll do it all over again.
Yeah.
I'll do it all over again.
Well, Lee, I know that we could fit in another 2 or 3 podcasts. And in fact, I think I'd love to have a round 2 or round 3 where we can talk about leadership and some of your other experiences. But for now, thank you again for the last 15 years of your friendship and your custom and the hospitality for everyone at Burke Britain. And from myself, thank you. And thanks for letting our listeners listen to your story over the last hour. So thanks again.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you're keen to understand more about how financial advice could benefit you, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Burke Britain FP, or Google Burke Britton Financial Partners. Check out our client reviews, testimonials, and make a time to meet one of our certified financial planners by clicking Book Now on our website. Thanks for listening.
Any information contained in this podcast is of a general nature only. No account was taken as to the objectives, financial situation, or needs of any particular person. Therefore, before making any decision, listeners should consider the appropriateness of any information with regard to their particular objective, financial situation, needs, and seek independent advice from a licensed professional specific to their circumstances.
All right, hit it.
That translates to don't be a moron and act on what some random person says on a podcast. Take personal responsibility, do your homework, ask questions, and speak to an actual human that knows what they're talking about before you do anything. PB Financial Solutions Proprietary Limited, trading as Burke Britton Financial Partners, are authorised representatives of AMP Financial Planning Limited, AFS, licence number 232706.